All right, let's dive right in. A brand new bill just landed in India's parliament, and honestly, it's proposing something pretty radical: a national commission for men. Now, for years, this has been a super controversial idea, kind of on the fringes. But now, it's a formal bill, and it's officially up for debate.
So that's the million-dollar question, right? Is India finally going to get a national commission for men? A new bill has been put forward with one single goal: to create an official body that protects the rights of men and boys. So what exactly is in this proposal? And maybe more importantly, what's driving it? Let's break it all down. Okay, first up, a commission for men? Let's get past the headline and really understand the nitty-gritty. What is this bill actually trying to do? So the official name is the National Commission for Men Bill, 2025. Now, it's important to note this was introduced as a private member's bill. What does that mean? Well, basically, it was brought forward by an individual member of parliament, not by the government itself. And while, these kinds of bills rarely pass, they're super powerful tools for getting a big conversation started. The bill's stated goal? To create a more gender-balanced legal framework by setting up this independent commission just for men's rights. All right, so let's really get into the details here. The bill is pushing for 4 major and, highly controversial changes to some of India's most important laws. And trust me, these 4 points are right at the heart of this entire debate. First up, the bill takes aim at Section 498A. That's the anti-dowry law. Now, this law has been criticized by some for a long time, mainly for allowing immediate arrests based on just an allegation. So, the bill proposes a huge change: a mandatory 30-day police investigation before an arrest can even be made. It's basically inserting a formal verification step right into the process. The bill also brings in a really severe penalty for false rape accusations. We're talking not just 7 to 10 years of imprisonment, but also a fine that could go all the way up to 10 lakh rupees. As you can imagine, this is one of the most fiercely debated parts of the whole thing. Okay, the next change is pretty simple, but it's also incredibly profound. It wants to amend the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act of 2005. The proposal is to make the law completely gender neutral, which would extend its protections to all victims, no matter their gender. And that brings us to the 4th key change, which deals with family law. It suggests making shared parenting the default arrangement after a divorce. What that means is, unless there's a proven case of abuse, the law would just assume that equal access for both parents is what's best for the child. So, those are the core changes in the bill. But a bill isn't just a bunch of legal text, it's a political statement. So, who's actually behind this push, and what's their reasoning? Why now? Well, even though this is a private member's bill, the idea itself isn't exactly new. And it's definitely found supporters within India's ruling party. In the past, different BJP MPs have publicly called for a Purush Aayog, or a men's commission. So this really shows that there's already some political appetite for this kind of law. The main legal argument from the supporters really boils down to this: Article 14 of the Constitution, which is the fundamental right to equality. They're framing the bill as a necessary step to make sure the law treats every single citizen equally, regardless of gender. It's about fulfilling the promise of the Constitution itself. Supporters also bring up 2 other major factors. First, they point to the growing crisis around male mental health and suicide in India, arguing that men really need some kind of institutional support when they're facing huge legal and social pressures. And second, they tie it directly to the government's own mantra of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, basically saying that development for all has to include tackling the issues that men face too. Okay, now, to really get why this bill is such a big deal, we have to zoom out a little. This isn't just one isolated proposal floating around. It's actually part of a much bigger story that's unfolding in the Indian legal system right now. You see, this bill is a piece of a much wider trend, a philosophical shift towards something people are calling gender-neutral justice. For decades, many of India's protective laws were specifically for women, designed to help lift them up in a patriarchal society. But now we're seeing this big push for laws that apply equally to everyone, focusing on the act of violence itself, not the gender of the person involved. And all of this leaves us with the huge central question at the very heart of this entire debate. Is making laws gender neutral the next logical step towards achieving real equality for everyone? Or could it unintentionally weaken the hard-won legal protections that were specifically created to keep women safe in a society that still has some really deep-rooted inequalities? That's the question this bill forces all of us to think about.